Celebrate Christmas with a boom. Whether you know him as a Hall of Fame coach or a broadcasting legend or the face of the NFL's video game franchise, chances are you know who John Madden is. And this Christmas, Fox is bringing you a new documentary tribute to one of football's most beloved figures. Boom. That's right. Look at it right there. Right there. Boom. Yeah, remember that signature phrase, guys? Right. Yeah. The phrase from the great John Madden as a broadcaster, and here it is autographed on this NFL football. All Madden features never before seen footage of the NFL legend, as well as his first on-screen interview in over a decade. Here's a sneak peek.
Football is my life.
Get rid of the ball.
It's something that I say proudly. But it's complicated.
You can't write the history of professional football without John Madden.
First thing that jumps out are the hands.
And yelling and screaming at guys. What are you trying to do? He was a coaching genius. Downhill, full speed, boom.
He said, well, you can't win them all. And I said, why the hell can't you?
When you're the head coach, you live and die without replying.
And you don't stay on top forever.
Madden's retirement signals the end of an era and perhaps the end of a dynasty.
We didn't know what he was going to do.
I wasn't a guy when I was coaching to say, I want to get out, I want to be a broadcaster.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dick Stockton with John Madden.
I'm Vin Scully along with John Madden.
But I knew after I did the first couple games that that's what I wanted to do. This is it. I embraced it.
John does a rehearsal game with another young aspiring broadcaster by the name of Bob Costas.
How high is the shot?
And you look like a 12-year-old kid. I don't know what's going on here. Pull to the right. Boom. And boom. 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 Boom.
Right there in the alley. Boom.
John had this energy that came to life. CBS just saw something that they hadn't seen before.
John Madden made me a better player. I was pretty good. He just made me better. Simple as that.
I think the audience perceives what's genuine. That's who he is. The same guy who just happens to have extraordinary football knowledge.
He made everyone want to watch football.
If you just heard his voice in the distance.
Hi, I'm John Madden. John Madden.
That was a TV you had to run to.
You know, he coached with a passion and love for the game. He went into broadcasting, changed the way football was broadcast, if not greater sports.
Some things that just go together.
He changed the way America celebrates Thanksgiving, for crying out loud.
Now this is what the game of football is all about.
And joining me now, the executive producer and director of All Madden, Fox Sports' own Tom Rinaldi. Tom, great to have you here for a little discussion around one of the biggest personalities maybe we've ever seen in the world of football. You've always been a great storyteller. Tell me what was maybe different about telling this story.
Well, first of all, I had the chance to do this project with a good friend of yours, Mark, Joel Santos, who was the heart and soul of this project as the co-director. What a joy to be able to take this journey through John Madden's career. It isn't that often that you find someone so truly beloved. And we put out 38 interview requests for this project, Mark. 38 yeses came back. Everybody from Mahomes to Brady to Lamar Jackson, Roger Goodell, members of his family, Belichick, everyone you can imagine. We asked, said yes.
He really has been a major theme when it comes to being the soundtrack of NFL football for so many years. How does he react to that spotlight now? Because we haven't seen him in the spotlight in quite some time.
And I think that was one of the reasons, well, a strong impetus that Fox Sports wanted to produce this and let people know. For a younger generation, Mark, as you know, John Madden is a brand and a video game. This is an opportunity to tell people a little bit more about his story. We have 7 acts in the documentary, and he's through with coaching. A shocking decision for people going back to when he left. He was so young, the youngest coach ever to win the Super Bowl at that time, still the coach with the highest winning percentage of 100 or more wins, and then the incredible career in broadcasting, the video game, the pop culture icon, all of it. He touched so many different people in so many different ways.
Yeah, you know, you can slice that pie in so many different ways. Did you get any sense when talking to John about football, which of those he reveres the most?
He begins and ends with one definition, Mark. Terrific question. He is a coach, which is why it meant so much to him to go into the Hall of Fame, to be recognized for that. But I think at heart, John is a teacher. And that what made him so fantastic in the booth. What he wanted most was the opportunity to develop understanding and appreciation for the game beyond just a quarterback or looking at the ball. When John first retired and never returned to coaching, the very first thing he did, a lot of people don't know, is he went to Cal Berkeley and taught a class in football. That shows how much teaching has been a part of him, and it carried through in that unique, freewheeling, savant-like mind and delivery of Madden through his entire career.
Tom, I think one of the things that people are going to really love about this documentary series is the fact of the access, right? That you're pulling back the curtain and we're telling stories, and as you guys have described it, unforeseen footage. Can you share something small that'll really tease the viewers as to what they're going to learn that maybe they would have never learned before about John Madden?
Well, first of all, in terms of that footage, hundreds of hours that no one has ever seen that was sitting in a storage container in a facility in Southern California. Now, some of that brought to light by our team that put this together. There are so many things that people don't necessarily realize, Mark, about John. How about this? Production meetings did not exist before John Madden. The broadcasters did not meet with the players or coaches before the game. They simply got an injury report and went through the roster. John's the first person who went to practice. The first person to use the telestrator, instrumental in creating the first down line that's now like oxygen when we watch. So many different things he did to influence just the broadcasting. Obviously, the video game, which would not have existed without John's insistence that it be 11 on 11 and how that's influenced players. His reach is almost impossible to measure.
And let's not forget the turducken. Obviously, Tom, we all look forward to seeing it on Christmas Day. It's going to be, I'm sure, huge rave reviews around it, and we can't wait to talk to you again.
Thanks so much for having me, Mark.
Set your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. Get those reminders ready. Christmas Day, all Madden. It's on at 11 a.m. right before the Packers and Browns game, and only right here on Fox 11, a documentary you will not want to miss. Back here inside of our Fox 11 studios, Mark Rogandino, Ron Pitts, Vince Ferragamo, and Jackie Slater here with me, a post-game edition of Sports Wrap. I'll start on the end with you, Jackie. I say John Madden. What comes to mind?
Man, I tell you, you know, as a guy playing in the National Football League, you know, scraping and scrapping, trying to get some attention and get some prominence. I didn't go to my first Pro Bowl until my 8th year in the pros. We played a game, and John Madden zeroed in pretty much on everything that I did. And then all of a sudden, people start watching. That happened twice on 2 different occasions in big, big games, playoff games. John Robinson, by the way, our head coach, happened to have been a really good friend of his. And I can honestly say that John Madden paid attention to what was going on at the line of scrimmage. And I know he talked about the quarterbacks because in all these key guys, the running backs and all that stuff, like he had to, but he paid homage to the offensive line like no broadcaster I have ever heard or before or since. He was really special, and that's why people loved him. You hear that boom, you know, you don't be talking about boom when a quarterback throws the ball or a guy catches it. You talk about boom when people get hit in the lip. So that's the thing that I appreciated about him, and I just always have great memories of John Madden.
Not only a great coach, but a great commentator, a great analyst on TV with Vince Scully, with Pat Summerall. He had great color. I loved his delivery. He was so colorful. His descriptions were right on, like when he said I was the best-looking quarterback.
That's right.
I love this guy. Shameless plug, Ron Pitts. How about for you?
Well, I did 3 Super Bowls. I did 3 Super Bowls as a sideline reporting for the Madden crew, and I tell you, those production meetings that Rinaldi talked about, those meetings went well into the a.m. I'm talking like 2:30, 3 in the morning, and you had a game at 1 o'clock the next day. He knew football, so he demanded that you knew football. You'd be watching film with him, and he would just say, hey, Pitts, what coverage are they in? You know, just to see if you're awake and paying attention. And he tells a great story. He thought he knew football real well when he was a young man. He goes up to Green Bay back in the day to talk to Vince Lombardi. He said, I want to know what the sweep is. Explain it to me. So John draws this all up and said, this is what I think the sweep is. An hour and a half later, Vince Lombardi says, no, this is the sweep. And he goes through the whole thing. And John walked out of there with his head down thinking, wow, I really thought I knew football until I talked to someone who did know football.
And I think along those lines, in my generation, I always heard John Madden as a broadcaster, but I was also in my 20s when the video game Madden first came out, and I learned real quick that I'm not very good at video games. So that was what I learned from John Madden. I needed to get that controller out of my hand and left that to some other guys so I could be here with you guys, you know?
Well, you know, relative to the video game, what I remember about the Madden game is trying to keep Matthew and David off of them so that they don't do their homework. They want to play that all the time.
It's amazing to watch kids do it, and now they have, you know, a Super Bowl of Madden playing for EA Sports. I mean, it's incredible how much that side of it has gone to. Again, Christmas Day is when it comes out, 11 a.m. right here on Fox. We hit another timeout here on Sports Wrap. When we come back, how about a little MVP talk? These guys might have something surprising to say to you about who could be in that MVP conversation. Empty SoFi Stadium, but it was rocking earlier. Why? The Rams, 20-10 winners against the Seahawks.